Good evening, friends. I'm Sujata Shankar, convener of INTACH Chennai chapter. I extend a warm welcome to each of you who's joined us today, to members and friends of INTACH. I have pleasure in welcoming the speaker of this evening, Mr. P.C. Ramakrishna. INTACH, an acronym for the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, was set up 36 years ago as a non-profit organization with a vision to spearhead heritage awareness and conservation in India and to protect India's vast, unprotected, built, cultural, intangible and natural heritage. At INTACH, our programs have been covering different aspects of culture, arts, crafts, traditions, and local heritage. Today, we bring the spotlight on theatre. Thank you so much, Mr. Ramakrishna, for kindly agreeing to speak to us about theatre in Madras, the origin and growth of English theatre in the city, the history of Madras players, your own experiences, and the substantial contribution of Tamil theatre. The talk will be followed by a brief conversation with INTACH member Sushila Natraj, who's also been a part of English theatre. Mr. P.C. Ramakrishna, or simply PC as he's known, is a versatile veteran thespian and a voice artist. His landmark achievement of half a century in theatre was celebrated with a golden retrospective of 3 of his most popular plays, Water, Chudamani, and Trinity. Long associated with Madras Players, the oldest theatre group in India, which was established in 1955, he's been an actor, director, administrator, and past president. Part of over 150 theatrical productions, he has been the lead actor, essaying several memorable roles in Mohan Rakesh's Aadhe Adhure, Girish Karnad's Nagamandla, Vijay Tendulkar's Shantata Court Chalu Aahe, Shiv Shankari's Mercy, Indra Patsati's Land of the Free, Mahesh Dattani's Dance Like a Man, just to name a few. Shifting the focus of English theatre to regional theatre, translations and adaptations has been PC's major contribution over the last decade as a director. He has almost single-handedly taken over the responsibility of celebrating and staging regional language works of Indian authors and playwrights, translated and adapted in English to much critical acclaim. Notable among these are Water, the translation of Komal Swaminathan's Tamil play Tannir Tannir, set in drought-hit village of Attipatti. Chudamani, the short stories of the Tamil writer R. Chudamani, reflecting social issues of the time. And Trinity, about the 3 great composers of Carnatic music, Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshitar, and Shyama Shastri, based on Sita Ravi's writings, translated by Justice Prabha Sridevan. The unique production, with a 19th century backdrop, has concert singers Vijay Shiva, Gayatri Venkatraghavan, and Dr. S. Sundar in the cast, singing live in the performance. A musician himself, PC is an accomplished Mridangam player, having trained under the tutelage of Palghat Mani Iyer, as well as being a singer with Madras Youth Choir. PC's distinctive baritone voice made him a very successful voiceover professional, lending voice to documentaries, heritage films, and children's talking books. He was the first English newscaster for Doordarshan Madras in the 70s and 80s, and ISRO's accredited narrator for all their presentations, including Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, launches and landings. PC has been acknowledged as one of the most recorded English language voices in India. He is the recipient of several awards, including Madras Management Association Award of 2017 for theatre and the Nataka Chudamani from Krishnagana Sabha in 2019. And I am graduate. He's the most versatile among Chennaiites. Welcome, PC. Just a few announcements before we get off the ground. Please keep yourselves on mute right throughout. And also, if you have questions, please type them in the chat box. And after the talk by PC and the brief conversation with Sushi, there will be question answer session, which will be taken up. So kindly type your questions. Please stay on mute. Thank you so much. Welcome, PC.
Thank you, Sujata. I'm very privileged to participate in this webinar with Intact. We know the work Intact does and its consideration for our heritage and our culture. And it's a particular pleasure for me to spotlight theatre in Chennai to this wonderful organization and to its members. I have been told to use half an hour to give you an overview of English theatre in Chennai, as also the golden period of Tamil theatre, and thereafter lead on to Sushi Nataraj, and to take her questions, and then after with you. So without further ado, let me start with English theatre in Chennai over the last half a century and more. When you talk of the heritage of English theatre in Chennai, obviously you're talking about the Madras Players, which is not only the oldest in Chennai, but the oldest English theatre group in India. In the 1950s, early 1950s, much before I joined them, the expats in Chennai, obviously to amuse themselves and to have pleasant evenings, did plays of English playwrights. And during that time, the locals, as we were known, were used to move furniture, I guess, and do other jobs connected with props and scenery. It was in 1955 that the expats decided that they should hand it over to the Indian counterpart. And in 1955, the Madras Players was born. The theatre, English theatre scene was handed over by the expats, by the British Council, in fact, to the Madras Players, which probably started off as Madras Dramatic Society and then became the Madras Players. It could have happened in 1954, but there are no records for me to verify. But 1955, I know there is a recorded first play of the Madras Players, which is Rattigan's Browning version. In 1955, the three founder members of the Madras Players, and this is very interesting to know, was Snehalata Reddy, who you all know as an actor, and also of fame during the emergency period where she was imprisoned. You will also know her as the female protagonist in the film Samskara, directed by Pattabhirama Reddy, her husband, which also won a national award. It is U.R. Ananthamurthy's novel, which was made into a film. It had Girish Karnad as the male protagonist. So she was one of the founder members. Thambi Kadambavanam, baritone from the Madras Musical Association, was another member. And very interestingly, the Tamil actor V. Gopalakrishnan was one of the members who founded Madras Players. Now, V. Gopalakrishnan did roles like Iago in Othello and other things before he wandered on to the Tamil stage and thereafter to Tamil film. Now, sadly, none of these three are with us. So in 1955, Madras Players started, and we'll talk about the 1960s when an intrepid lady called Amu Matthew, who was a nuclear professor of nuclear physics in Women's Christian College, became the president. She had no pretensions to acting, she didn't want to, but she was a voracious reader and a fantastic director who knew how to cast her plays. And she was the president of the Madras Players when I first knew the Madras Players. In fact, one of the oldest members of the Madras Players is fortunately with us in this conference, in this webinar today. I was just talking to her before, Lakshmi Krishnamurthy from Bangalore, who was a very, very significant and important member. She and her husband, S.V. Krishnamurthy, who were in Pycroft's Gardens. It was second home for Madras Players. We rehearsed so many of our plays there. So I'm very happy to say hello to Lakshmi Krishnamurthy, and I'm so happy that you're part of us today when we're talking about Madras Players and its history. And thank you for everything that you did, you and Krish did in Pycroft's Gardens to further theatre for us in the 60s and probably early 70s. So back to the 60s, Ammu Matthew was the president, and she had this ability to suggest good plays for us to do. And she was a very good director who ultimately was probably one of our better directors over the years. But she passed away of a strange kind of illness, which she thought was an ailment of her feet, which ultimately led to a cardiac arrest. So after one of our successful plays, getting together at the cast party, basking in the euphoria of success, I casually asked people, hey, Ammu's no longer with us, who's the president? And in the same kind of feeling, a forest of fingers pointed at me and I said, you are. And that is how I became the president accidentally of the Madras Players for the next 20 years. After 20 years, I decided enough was enough. And today, I'm happy to say, one of our oldest members, probably the oldest member today, Gayatri Krishnaswamy, I'm sure she's also listening in, has become the president as an absolutely able administrator, and she leads the Madras Players and its movement forward. So that's about the 1960s. Up to the late 60s and the early 70s, because of necessity, Madras Players did plays, American plays, English plays, European plays. We did, let's say, Arthur Miller's View from the Bridge, All My Sons, Tennessee Williams' Glass Menagerie, Anton Chekhov's Uncle Vanya and Cherry Orchard, Alan Ayckbourn's Bedroom Farce, Neil Simon's Plaza Suite, and Good Doctor. All these were successful plays. We had to do these plays because there was no, at that point of time, this was the theatre that was available to us in play form. We also did collaborations with the British Council, the Goethe Institute, and the Alliance Française. For instance, with the British Council, we did Betrayal of Pinter, which was a collaboration. We did Macbeth, which was directed by one of the director of the British Council then, Derek Hughes. We did Tom Stoppard's The Real Inspector Hound. We collaborated with Goethe Institute in doing Friedrich Dürrenmatt's Marriage of Mr. Mississippi, and the physicists, Bertolt Brecht's Chalk Circle, Tancred Dost's Freedom for Clemens, and Goethe's own Urfaust. And so many of these things were done at the council premises, at the premises of the Max Muller Bhavan. And we also collaborated with Alliance Française in doing their Dada poetry movement, Picasso à la Pigalle, or however that is pronounced. So that was a purple period when we could collaborate. We collaborated with the US, who brought in a director. The USIS brought in a director called Anita Kanzadian, who was directing off-Broadway, to direct us in Our Town. So there was this salutary collaboration with the British Council, the Goethe Institute, Alliance Française, and USIS, which took us further into theatre in the 60s. The change
Sorry, uncle. I think you're on mute.
Okay, I'm unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, uncle. Yes.
Have you heard me so far?
We lost you for a bit, uncle.
Okay, when shall I start from the change of the 1970s? Or
Yes,
should I start from British Council? Which did you hear? Did you hear the British Council and the Goethe Institute bit?
Yes.
Okay, we collaborated with British Council, Goethe Institute, Alliance Française, and USIS in doing plays like of Pinter, Shakespeare, Friedrich Dürrenmatt, Brecht, Tancred Dost, Goethe's Urfaust, and USIS brought in a director from the US, Anita Kanzadian, and she did directed Our Town as a collaboration with the USIS. The change, at that point, I think I went mute. The change came in the late 60s and 70s. Girish Karnad was with us as manager, Oxford University Press, and an integral part of Madras Players. Amu Matthew herself was very interested in Indian writing, and together they found translations available from 4 corners of India. Simultaneously and very coincidentally, we had Badal Sarkar in the east with his Evam Indrajit and Baki Itihas, which Girish himself translated. Vijay Tendulkar in the west with Silence the Courtesan Session, Sakaram Binder, Kamala, and the other plays. Mohan Rakesh in the north with Adhe Adhure and Ashad Ka Ek Din. And then Girish Karnad himself writing in Kannada. All his plays, Yayati, Hayavadana, Nagamandala, Tughlaq, all these plays that I have mentioned, the Madras Players did in the 70s. It was a golden period of new awakening. When Indian writing came to the fore, translations were available, and we enjoyed bringing Indian ethos onto the English stage. And our audiences also started growing quantitatively because of that, because they could identify with Indian themes, identify with Indian characters, Indian stories. Then there are other plays which were available, which were adapted, like Bhagwan Gidwani's Tiger Tiger on Tipu Sultan, Indra Patsadi's Madai and Land of the Free, Shiva Shankari's Karunai Kolai, which was adapted as Mercy, the great Kalki Krishnamurthi's rural fantasy, Flame of the Forest, which was adapted and done by Gauri Ramnarayan. Komal Swaminathan's Water, which was Tannir Tannir in 1980. R.K. Narayan's Swami and Friends, which was adapted and made into a play. R. Chudamani's stories, which were adapted, which were translated by Prabhasri Devan, adapted by Nikila Keshavan, and staged here. And then Sita Ravi's, Kalki Krishnamurthi's granddaughter, Sita Ravi's own stories on the trinity of music, Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshitar, and Shyama Shastri, which she wrote and was combined as a play by Prabhasri Devan and adapted and staged as Trinity. Now, Trinity has had a long run. It has also taken to the US on invitation. Unfortunately, after one show, the COVID stepped in and all other shows had to be cancelled and we had to return. So this was adaptation made available during this period. Also, it was a very happy augury for us that contemporary playwrights started writing in English. We had Tim Murari, whose play Inquisitor we did. We had Indra Patsardi's play, we had Chetan Shah's play, which Slow Dissolve and later Lizard Walls. We had Mahesh Dattani's Dance Like a Man, 7 Steps Around the Fire, and Final Solutions. We had Sri Kumar Varma with Bow of Rama, which won an award in 1993. Platform, Midnight Hotel, and Caste Party, all of which we did over the years. Sabita Radhakrishna, who wrote a play on the weavers and the weavers' plights of Tamil Nadu, Song of the Loom. So all these plays were suddenly available in English. So it became easier for us to now stage all these plays. And as I said, the audiences loved it. these plays worked. We didn't have to be anything other than ourselves. We had to just be characters we could identify with. And this led us to new realms in English Indian theatre, Indian English theatre, if you like. And today I can say that for the Madras Players, almost 90% of its work has to do with Indian themes, to celebrate Indian writers and Indian themes. And we're very happy. This is one of our USPs, so to speak. Also, as part of our development, youngsters who have worked with us and worked well with us have gone on to start their own theatre groups. I can mention a few: Theatre Nisha, Boardwalkers, Kriya Shakti, Masquerade, Thespian N, Stage Fright. There are many others whom I might not mention, but all these young people started discovering theatre on their own, discovering plays on their own. Today, the theatre scene in Chennai is not only history, but is now addressing the future with all these young people. And not only these, we are inviting young people to direct us. Swami and Friends, for instance, was adapted by a young girl who was with us called Manasi Subramaniam, was directed by another young girl called Aruna Ganeshram, who have gone on to do much more theatre afterwards. Nikhila Keshavan, for instance, directed 5 Point Someone, Chetan Bhagat's 5 Point Someone. So all these youngsters have started. We have invited the youngsters to direct us. You know, we have never balked at it. Madras Players has been the mother lode, so to speak. But we have always been interested in young talent, and we are very, very, very proud in Madras Players that we remain history, but we have encouraged young people to come to theatre. Now, as far as this is Madras Players is concerned, I think I will stop here, because the next 10 or 15 minutes I'm going to spend with the golden period of Tamil theatre. I have been fortunate in being in Chennai in its golden period. Many of you might have heard the origin. I'm talking about 50, 60, 65 years ago, as old as the Madras Players, or even more. The Madurai Old Boys Company, which staged Tamil plays. And very importantly, you had actors like Shivaji Ganesan, M.R. Radha, T.S. Balaya, who were part of the Madurai Old Boys and went on to film. So all these were stage actors. Then you had this spectacular Nawab Rajamanikam. Now, why was he called Nawab? He acted as a Nawab in a play called Bhakta Ramadas. Nawab Rajamanikam brought spectacle to the Tamil stage. He did plays like Dasavataram, Sampurna Ramayanam, Ayyappan, and his plays were full of special effects, arrows flying, fire everywhere, and lightning and thunder. So Nawab Rajamanikam was known for this kind of spectacle. He did mythological, he did historicals, but his plays were noted for the fantastic special effects that he created, and we're talking about 1950, please remember. Then, apart from the spectacle of mythology and history, there was another group devoted to solid social drama. They were the TKS brothers, the brothers TK Shanmugam and TK Bhagavati. They did plays like Avvaiyar, now which has become a cult play. Avvaiyar, the old lady, was played by TK Shanmugam on stage with, it's an absolutely mind-blowing performance. He played Avvaiyar. Then they did plays like Yeduvalvu, Kalvanin Kadali, Uyiroviam. They were all known as social drama. They dealt with dramatic situations in society. Nawab Rajamanikam's was a mentor, so to speak, of somebody else whom we all know very well, T.S. Manohar, who later in the 60s started producing spectacular plays a la Rajamanikam. He did plays like Ilangeswaran, Surapadman, Indrajit, Sisupalan, Chanakya. With again special effects, he employed 100 people on his payroll, and that I know because we have spoken with him. They were on his payroll, and all his plays, he could do it only on big stages. They were full of effects. They were full of spectacular paraphernalia. And he did these plays. And very strangely, he chose as his heroes what we think would be anti-heroes. Ilangeshwaran was about Ravana. Surapadman, who opposed Murugan. Indrajit, Ravana's son. Sisupalan, again an Asura, who was killed by an avatar of Vishnu. Chanakya, the Indian Machiavelli. In fact, very interestingly, the theory he spins in the play Ilangeshwaran was Sita is Ravana's daughter. Now, how that happened, we'll have to see the play to understand. He's supposed to have put her in a basket and sent her off in the river, and she came and joined up in Mithila. How that happened geographically, one doesn't know. But that is the story, and that is one of the stories of the Ramayana that is being talked about, Ilangeshwaran. Then TKS brothers, who initiated what was called, as I said, the social drama in the late 50s and 60s, were succeeded by another wonderful actor, director, and administrator called S.V. Sahasranamam, who was part of, I think, TKS brothers in some of their productions. In the 60s and up to the 70s, he produced social drama like Poliskaran Magal, which was later made into a film, which some of you would have seen, Vadivelu Vadyar, Nawab Narkali, and some other plays like that. A marvelous actor, and people like Pandaribai, Muthuraman, and others who later went to film were part of his entourage. So S.V. Sahasranamam could be considered the successor of TKS brothers in social drama. We then come to the 60s up to the 80s. Tamil theatre spread into 4 or 5 different genres. There was this genre of satire, and Cho was the past master in it. Cho Ramaswamy brought out plays like Kovadis, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, Why Not, What For, Madras by Night, and Tughlaq, where the plays were full of satire against present-day government and MLAs and ministers. Every day dialogues would change, and it was great fun. Cho wrote his own plays, played lead actor in almost all his plays, played female roles also, like in Sambhavami Yuge Yuge and Why Not, or was it What For, one of the two. So Cho started the movement of satirical theatre in Chennai in the 60s. In the 60s, Tamil theatre was wound around the sabhas and the sabha audiences. Mylapore Fine Arts Club in Mylapore, it's on Oliver Road, somehow wangled to get all the premier shows there. They had 2 sets of members, first day members and second day members. Like my parents was first day members. All Tamil plays, or well, almost all Tamil plays were inaugurated at Mylapore Fine Arts. So the hall was, the thatched hall was full, and these plays were staged. So all of Cho's plays were staged there to start with, and I have seen all of them in Mylapore Fine Arts. Then there was social comedy, and the master of social comedy was a gentleman called Purnam Vishwanathan, who was a Tamil news reader in All India Radio Delhi. Seidhigal Vasippadu Purnam. It's known to some of the old fossils like me. Purnam Vishwanathan started the middle class social theatre. He did plays, which is a very, very famous play called Tani Kuduthanam. He did another famous play called Urvambu, and then Kalkattu. By their very name, you will know that they belong to the middle class morality. They were humorous stories and incidents about middle class people, and Purnam Vishwanathan was a past master in this. There were many who were spawned by him. There were people who worked with him who later went on, but I can't cover everybody. Purnam Vishwanathan, in my mind, represents a genre of theatre which came in the 60s and 70s, and it became Purnam theatres, and he did these plays, and then he did some sci-fi plays written by Sujata, the writer. Sujata wrote a lot of science fiction plays, and some of them were done by Purna Vishwanathan, who was a very good friend of his. In parallel, moving more towards farce was United Amateur Artists, held by the redoubtable Y.G. Parthasarathi. Y.G. Parthasarathi and United Amateur Artists, their first play was something called It Happened One Night. The story goes that this writer Pattu, who wrote the plays for them, was asked to write a play, and he was prevaricating for one reason or the other, and ultimately YGP gave him an ultimatum: I'll shut you up in the terrace tonight, and tomorrow morning you've got to come down with a play. And the play was It Happened One Night. So that was the play with which UAA started. Then some of their famous plays, it is Flight 172, Parikshaikku Neramachu. Thereafter, after YGP is moving on, his son YG Mahendra is taken up, and YG Mahendra is still keeping theatre active. He's one of the few Tamil theatre people who are keeping theatre active with some of the plays in the same genre. And then came the one set play, which had hitherto been not known. And there was this man called K. Balachandar, who was a superintendent in the AG's office, who obviously had a lot of time on his hand and a lot of talent. He wrote a blitzkrieg of about 6 or 7 plays, which were staged under the banner of Ragini Recreations. And many of these plays were made into films, and you would know Major Chandrakant, which brought Major Sundararajan into the limelight. Neer Kumili, it's Nagesh Gopalakrishnan. Nanal, which was an adaptation of a Western story. Edir Nichal, again with Major Sundararajan and Nagesh, made into a film. Sarvar Sundaram, the iconic film of Nagesh as a server, who ultimately becomes a film star, made into a film again. Meluguvatti. These 7 plays were the first the Tamil audiences were introduced to one set. Major Chandrakant, for instance, we were sitting in the auditorium. This guy, Major Chandrakant, I'm talking about late 1960s, early 1970s. This guy, Major Chandrakant, comes into the stage, potters around, does this, that, etc. Ultimately goes to sit somewhere and falls down. And then you realize after about 10 minutes of this activity that he is blind. It is about a blind army major, retired, Major Chandrakant. And like these Tamil actors are always fond of honorifics and prefixes, he became Major Chandrakant afterwards. K. Balachandar brought to the fore actors like, as I said, Nagesh. Saukar Janaki did a lot of roles for him. V. Gopalakrishnan, who did a lot of roles for him, and Srikanth. All these people did very significant roles in films afterwards. In 1980, and that is very important to me as a person, I sat and watched a play called Tannir Tannir by a guy called Komal Swaminathan. It was about a water-starved village in Tirunelveli Taluk called Attipatti, starved of water for 5 years. Everybody is illiterate. And what happens to that village when they take matters into their own hands to bring water is the story of that village. It was so moving, I couldn't get up after the performance in 1980. 32 years thereafter, I found an official translation by one Professor Shankar of Hawaii University in Landmark. And that became Water, which the Madras Players produced in 2012. And Water has been really one of our plays that has traveled and has succeeded tremendously. Chudamani was another, based on the stories of our Chudamani, taken from her compendium of stories called Tanimai Talir, with the permission of the Chudamani Trust, headed by Justice Chandru and Dr. Bharati, who were very kind enough to give us permission to take the stories from there. They were translated as Seeing in the Dark, a publication by Prabhasri Devan. They were adapted to the stage by young Nikila Keshavan, and it was presented by the Madras Players here. It has been our longest running play. It has run for 3 years plus. I think with that, Tamil, I think I've exceeded my 30-minute gap. I would just like to mention there is a very, very significant theatre movement called Kuttupatrai in Tamil, held by of Na Muthuswamy, the Sahitya Academy Award winner, who wrote the plays for them, like Shuvarottigal, England, etc. Experimental, a lot of body work, a lot of theatre, a lot of movement-oriented theatre. They are still working at it after the demise of Na Muthuswamy. I must mention Kuthupatrai's contribution to Tamil theatre. Unfortunately, and with this I will end, Tamil theatre's death knell was sounded in the 80s with the advent of television. The serials and other things just took over. Audiences stopped coming to theatre, and that was the end of Tamil theatre, except for a few people like I was saying, Y.G. Mahendra is producing plays, S.V. Shekhar is producing some comedies, Katadi Ramamurthy, who's producing some fabulous farces, except for few of them, and now some more coming onto the bandwagon, like Komal Swaminathan's own daughter, under Komal Theatres, is producing some of his plays and presenting some other plays. Slowly the movement is coming back, but Tamil theatre's death knell was sounded by television. And maybe that helped English theatre get its audiences. So I think I've covered English and Tamil theatre to the extent of my competence in this 30 minutes. And now I think I will lead on to Sushi, breathing a sigh of relief.
Don't put words or motives into my head. Okay. To the pleasure, Amit. You did a super job. Gave us a bird's eye view of all that has happened in theatre, both Tamil and English theatre in Chennai so far. So that was really nice. I just have some very specific questions, mainly about Madras Players and you. So my first question to you is, you've always maintained, I remember several places where you've spoken, you said, anyone who has done anything for Madras Players is a member of Madras Players, which seems to be a very borderless, open-ended kind of membership. Is that how most groups are formed? I mean, is that how they function, you think?
For the first part of your question, it is yes. We have always been an informal group, but it's not so with younger groups that are forming. They are more professional and more, they're more structured. Like as I said, when Ammu died and I asked in a party who's the president of the Madras Players, and fingers pointed at me. That's how I became president. That was the election. So a lot of people have asked me, do you become a member of the Madras Players? I said, no, if you've done anything for us, you're a Madras player. So we don't make the distinction. The other question people have asked me, how has Madras Players survived for 65 years? The answer to me is very simple. In all these years, money has never been an issue. Most of us are out of pocket in theatre. We didn't know where the money was coming from a production. We didn't know where the money was going after the production. So there was no dispute on money. We just held together like a family. That's my answer to you.
Okay. But is that how they function in the other metros also? Bombay?
No, I dare say they don't. In fact, after a very long time, Madras Players got itself registered under the Register of Cooperative Societies because, we had to get sponsorship, then we had to make account for the money and all that. So we are now a registered society, but still artistically we are very informal.
Okay.
If I say, Sushi, come and direct a play, and if you're free, you'll come and direct a play for me. You're a Madras player. It works that way.
That way. Some years ago, though, Madras Players did set up a system of paid membership. Why was that stopped?
There were not enough people in the Madras Players to administer it, Sushi. I mean, we're all working at other things. There was nobody who could, write the books. So we started doing it and then found it was too onerous. So we just gave it up.
Okay. In the early days, and even now for that matter, how did you choose how did you choose a play that you felt was worthy of being staged?
Most often there would be somebody coming to the committee and saying, I would like to do the play. A director would come and say, I would like to do the play. Like Ammu would come and say, I would like to do a play, or Lakshmi Krishnamurthy who's hearing this can say this play could be done, or Yamuna would come and say, I would do a play, or Girish would do a play. So then the committee said, yeah, it's a good thing, let's do the play. On some other occasions, committee members probably would have read some plays and said, all right, this is doable. So it is a combination of both.
Okay, so you didn't set yourself a target. You didn't say we
No.
must do X number of plays in a year or something
No,
like that.
today we have a target, or the last, say, decade we have a target because we have sponsors. We say we have to do 4 plays in a year. But before that, there was no such target. This target also has come over the last decade or so.
Okay,
That's also because the plays have become costlier and we've had to get sponsorship.
sponsorship for that.
Mm.
But having said that, okay, you identified a play, but that's only the first step. Your actors, your sets,
Yeah,
your
but the
lights,
moment, the moment a director is identified, it's most often the director who suggested the play. The casting is entirely his or her prerogative. We don't interfere. I mean,
No,
we
I
may
know,
say, all right,
but
I'd like to be in it, but it's her decision, his or her decision.
No, I know, but I'm talking about the early days when you began. How did you even find people? Now I know there is a bank of people that you know have been on stage or have done lights or done sets or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the
Good
early days, it
questions.
must have been quite a challenge.
A good question. The early days, I was only an actor, and for the first 10 years, the position was there were not so many young people in theatre. There were a lot of older people. So older people in the 60s. So all the chocolate hero roles came to me, which were uninteresting. Which were like, oh, Vasanta Sena, look at the swans. In Nirchi Patikar, Lakshmi would know this. Well, Lakshmi's husband who played Samsthanaka and other people who were Dhanush Kodi who played Maitreya had loads of fun. I was here whispering to Vasanta Sena, oh, Vasanta Sena, look at the swans in the lake. I mean, it was ridiculous. So anytime a chocolate hero role like that came, they say, Ram is there, he will do it. So for the first 10 years, nobody believed I could do anything other than chocolate heroes. It's only after that Ammu suddenly realized this fellow's got a little more masala than that and started giving me roles that I could, move into. Yeah. Today, the situation is different. There are too many young people. Older people like me are very few. Very few. So the plate has changed. It's the flip side now. The older people, lot of young talent available, older people, not so many. So that is what has happened in theatre now.
Okay. So that leads me to another question. What do you personally prefer, directing or acting, and comedy or drama?
I prefer theatre. It doesn't matter whether it's comedy. I mean, comedy is comedy by its genre, but it's theatre. Good comedy can be theatre. Good farce can be theatre. I am basically an actor. But over the last decade, as I have told you, I have started reading a lot, like Tanir. I read Tamil, so I'm able to, and Hindi. So I'm able to suggest to the committee, I would like to do this play. So once I do that, then automatically I've got to take the onus of direction. And that is how I started direction. I started with Water, and then with Chudamani and Trinity. Trinity, of course, was another thing because I come from a background of music. And it had live music, so it helped me. Yeah, so I enjoy both.
Okay. You said Madras Players' first paradigm shift was into Indian writing, whether translations or adaptations or whatever. Sorry. Now, of late, you've been doing not adaptations, but scripting novels into plays.
Yes.
To my memory, Swami was the first one. I could be
wrong
about
that. It happened before. In fact, Shiva Shankari's Mercy was before that in 2005.
That's right.
Yeah, it was adapted as from the Karunai Kole, an entire novel. Swami and Friends was not. Chetan Bhagat's 5 Point Someone was first adapted.
That came later, though.
No, it came before Swami and Friends.
Really?
Yes, it came before Swami and Friends. Yes. Nikhila came with the saying, there is this book. At that point, we didn't know who Chetan Bhagat was.
Oh, wow.
And she came and said, yeah, I want to make a play of this.
Hmm.
And it seemed a good idea, so we made it. So Chetan Bhagat's, for
But,
instance, Kalki
huh.
Krishnamurthy's novels have been made
Yeah.
into a play by Gauri, and other there have been done plays.
Okay. But doesn't scripting require some particular talent? I mean, you're not just pulling out dialogues from the book and putting them on paper. There has to be more to scripting than that, no?
It
Isn't
is,
there a
yes,
science to it?
there is skill. If you are an actor and if you are a theatre person, you should know what will work on stage.
Correct.
So it's not just taking the lines out of the novel and putting it there.
Correct.
You have to arrange it in a way that it is dramatic.
Yeah.
Yes, there is skill
There
which
must
comes
be
out of your
some
comes out of your experience in theatre as an actor or as a director.
Okay. Okay, so you see that happening. Do you see that as a trend now? Because there
Yeah.
are people not writing that many plays? Is that part of the reason?
People are writing plays. People are writing plays are available, but I would say I would expect a lot more of non-plays, novels being adapted as plays. There are many Tamil writers, for instance, Jayakantan, T. Janaki Raman, Ambai, and a whole lot of other people who have written absolutely marvelous stories who have not been either translated or made into plays. So there is work to be done there.
Yeah, there's potential there. That's what you're trying to
Yes,
say.
yes.
Yeah. So I remember a time when you used to eagerly wait to read the reviews after the first show. Do you
Yes.
still do that?
Yes, of course we have to. Any artist wants to see what another person has talked about him or her. Yes, in the early days, there were reviews that were complimentary. There were many which tore me apart. Lakshmi Krishnamurthy knows of a chap called Uma Shankar, who tore me apart in Macbeth
Okay.
and said there were many things about Macbeth that we didn't like. The furniture, the music, and Macbeth. Uma Shankar was found in Lakshmi Krishnamurthy's house very often. He was working with the Indian Express at that time. I was very young at that time. I was very frustrated and irritated. But ultimately, I realized that he may have had a point. So an artist has, so long as the artist knows that the criticism or the review is coming from an honest standpoint and not malified, he or she has to accept it. Also from the audience. If the audience say, I didn't like it, it's for the audience that you're staging the play. They didn't like it, there's something wrong with you, not with the audience.
But no, I said that more in jest because I remember being backstage once after we'd finished the play, the first day of Nagamandala. And I remember you turned around and said, Nalek vechirukku namakku nalek than theriyum.
That's correct. Nagamandala was so many years back and I was much younger. Today, I might not say it. The younger people might say it. It may be important to them. For me, a review is important, but it does not run our play. It's important. I must know whether they have understood the play.
For a long time, as you said, Madras Players was the only English language theatre group. When did the second one even come in? What?
I don't know. Maybe in the 90s, maybe people like Evam and Theatre Nisha, Evam, maybe Kriya Shakti Theatre. I don't know the chronology, but 90s onwards, they believed theatre could pay, and they were much more courageous and adventurous than us. They went into theatre full time.
Yeah.
They started doing workshops and other things. Hats off to them.
Yeah,
they're still working.
Yeah, they've gone into schools and colleges and they're using children. I mean, they're training right from then. But I've always often heard you say that no one in the Madras Players was really formally trained for theatre. Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, I think there was no particular training most of us have had. Okay. I think many of us, I certainly speak for myself, fell flat on our faces while learning things. But in the process, we learned what worked and what didn't work. And when we had a professional theatre director like Anita Kanzadian coming from US, gave us a technology or a theory for what we already knew as practical. So yeah, we learned in the process. Today, there are books available, there are workshops available. It's a very different ball game.
Yeah. Now, yeah, that's a different ball game. But how much has audiences changed over the years? You've been watching, you've been observing.
Audiences have changed drastically. The demographic and the age group of the audiences have changed. The moment we started doing Indian work, the density of our audiences increased exponentially. Suddenly, when in the olden days, in the 50s and 60s, when we had 100 people in the auditorium or 70 people, we said, not bad, good crowd. Today, unless we have a full house of 532 in the museum theatre, we are not satisfied. And they are coming. They are coming because we have established that we can do work that would touch them. So I think the demographic has changed, the density of audiences have changed, the numbers have definitely changed. It's good for theatre.
And I find, I don't know whether this is true of all metros, but Madras seems a little restricted in terms of venues, or am I imagining it?
You're right. The museum theatre has been the only venue for us for a long time. But museum theatre is run by the government. So as good as it is, it was built by the British 140 years ago. It's absolutely marvelous theatre built like the Globe, but it has no facilities. So other than museum theatre, there are no theatres to which we can go. Museum theatre, we can play without microphones. We can't do that anymore because it's been refurbished and the sound has gone for a toss.
Yeah.
But yes, but museum theatre was home to us for 50 years. My first play was done in museum.
No, but museum theatre, the side seats, a large number, I don't know the exact number.
532. This is ideal for theatre.
No, but side, both the sides, the viewing is a little
so ultimately
limited,
it is up to the director. You have to play it out in front, in the apron.
Yeah.
That there is a thing like that. It was built for orchestra and that kind
exactly.
of thing.
It was built for music.
So there is, yes, you're right. Yeah. You can't go very deep into that theatre. That is a problem there because sides, you get 50 seats here and 50 seats there, they cannot see.
See at all. Yeah.
Yes, see at all. So we tend to work the sets so that we play more apron side so that everybody can see.
I think you did Tipu out in the open at YMCA grounds, if I remember.
At YMCA with all the mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And with the theatre seating, I mean the gallery seating and things like that.
It's not a friendly space.
No, it was uncomfortable, but it was dramatic.
And it's also not friendly space for the director or the actor.
Yeah.
It's not a friendly space. It's not a theatre friendly space.
Okay. So one last question before we leave. If you had to do it over, what would you have done differently?
Nothing. I have done what fed my passion. In fact, I've got more from theatre than most people who are in theatre get. I mean, I did my first play with the Madras Players, directed by S.V. Krishnamurthy, the late S.V. Krishnamurthy, whose Lakshmi is with us, Crucible, with Girish as the protagonist. That was my first play in 1969. Lakshmi was in it, Vishalam was in it. It's just given me so much joy. From 1969, I've never looked behind. I've been with the Madras Players. I've never thought of doing anything else. Every day was a joy to come to 18 Pycroft's Gardens to Lakshmi's house and rehearse.
Great. Thanks, Ram. That was nice.
Thank you, Sushi. That's lovely being with you all. I hope I have not exceeded my limitations.
Not at all. People are listening
and
quite
taxed your patience.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Sujata. Are there any questions? I think.
Yes, we do have a few questions.
Right.
We have Lakshmi asking, what is the difference between the time when you joined Madras Players and now in the theatre culture? Time spent on rehearsals, finance, formalization of structure, etc.
When I joined the theatre in 1969, it was Madras Players, a very kind of a loose thing. It all was around S.V. Krishnamurthy and Lakshmi's house and that kind of thing. And we never really bothered about where the money was coming from. Our tickets were 30 rupees. Can you beat it? Top ticket was 30 rupees. So we really never worried about money. Today, it is different. Audiences have started expecting much more because there are other groups, Previously, there was only Madras Players. We had to do tragedy, we had to do comedy, we had to do farce, mythological, everything. Today, it's not so. There are other groups which are feeding the audiences with very good plays. So the Madras players have to raise the bar. Therefore, we have become more professional. We have become more technology oriented. We have started thinking a lot more about finances, sponsorship, on all those things, which we didn't bother us so much, Lakshmi, when we were doing work in Bycroft's Gardens. I don't think we ever even discussed finance or where money came from. There is a difference today. Today, a play, Hayavadana, which we did in 1972, Lakshmi, cost us 4,200 rupees. When we did it as part of our retrospective directed by Yamuna in 2005, it cost us 4,20,000 rupees. Now, that is the difference in the kind of economies of scale. So you can well imagine the difference between then and now.
We then have Ram asking, what are the significant trends that you have observed in the Chennai theatre scene over the years in terms of audience taste, script writing, body movements, sets, voice through, etc.?
Yes, as I said, technology, there is much more technology. There is much more awareness of what the body should do and how you want to get into a role, and the whole lot. There is much more awareness of what the audience wants because they've seen so much that if there's anything less, I've had people coming to me and saying, this was not what I expected from Madras players. No, that is what I don't want to hear. So therefore, there is this expectation of the audience from one play to another, and that they feel that they've set a standard for us and we should not go down. As far as voice work is concerned, there is a question on voice work, and this disturbs me. There was a time, and Lakshmi would bear me out, there was a time in museum theatre where it was not air conditioned. There were fans rattling. Sorry. When there were fans rattling from the ceiling, when we spoke without microphones. Today, most youngsters cannot be heard beyond the first 7 rows without mics. This is something that's not good for theatre. This is something that I don't know why it has happened. Maybe because the advent of television and serials where, you speak soft voices. I don't think till the 1990s, we ever used a microphone in museum theatre. It's only now that we have forced to use it for 2 reasons. One, after the refurbishment of museum theatre and the redoing of the ceiling, the acoustics have gone to hell. And the other thing is youngsters don't seem to consider it important enough to project. So this is something that I think we oldies were managed better than the youngsters today. Though in many other ways, youngsters are doing much better work than we did.
Right. We have Gauri asking you, what gives you the greatest
Which
pleasure?
Gauri is this? Ram Narayan?
I am not sure. It just says Gauri here.
If it's Ram Narayan, I've got to be careful. I must not say some things which she can contradict. Right, no problem. I was just kidding. Right, go ahead.
She asks, what gives you the greatest personal joy when you are involved in the actual process of making theatre?
Actual part of?
Actual process of making theatre.
Oh, the process interests me beyond anything else. The process of, let's say, 45 days or 50 days we set apart for discovering the play, to discover the actor, to make it come alive. That process is something that is exciting. The play is over in 3 days. The audience likes it, doesn't like it, it happens. But the process of making the play come alive, process of making an author's work come alive, process of becoming the character, that process is the most exciting of all. And I've been very fortunate in getting the opportunity to play roles that have energized me in this process.
We have Nalini Thakur asking you, have there been attempts to blur the boundaries between performance art and theatre? Immersive experiences in non-theatre spaces?
Yes, we have, as I said, done theatre, let's say in terraces of places. We've done in the courtyard of British Council. We've done theatre in gardens. We've done theater in some neutral spaces, but not major theater. Major theater requires lighting, requires props and sets, and we cannot be adequately done in informal spaces. But we have done. We have done in art gallery. We have done play readings in Lalit Kala Academy Art Gallery. So there are spaces like that which we have used for poetry readings, for play readings, for small plays, gardens and courtyards and other things. Yes, we have done it.
Nitya Balai asks you, Chennai still does not have a good exclusive theatre space. Your hope?
Yes, this is something that I have made a PowerPoint presentation about. I believe, and this is something that I share with you, and Sujata knows what I'm talking about, Sujata Shankar. I believe the corporates in Chennai should come together to form a trust and build a theater of 500 to 550 capacity with all facilities like catwalk and masking curtains and rehearsal rooms and foyers and all kinds of things to promote theater. And the space somewhere in the central part of Madras, maybe schools have spaces, should give you parking space of about 75 to 100 cars. That such theater space is not available. If that kind of theater space is available, then so much more theater can be done. Rangashankara in Bangalore is a case in point. Small space, so beautifully done by Arundhati Nag. We have performed there. We have to find, and I think heritage, this is for Intact to consider. We are a heritage organization. There are heritage corporates in Chennai. The people like EID Parry and Sanmar and Rane and KCP and Hindu and all these people that are part of Chennai's corporate heritage, and there are many more. I appeal to them. Help theatre by coming together, forming a trust, building a theatre for us of 500 capacity, not only for theatre, but for music, for dance. And I have assured them, and I can assure them, they will get custom for 330 days in a year at least. This is something for you to consider. I have not been able to go forward on this idea, but I have the blueprints. Anybody willing to talk to me, heritage to heritage, I'm willing to do.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of questions.
Okay.
Sorry,
Right.
we have a quick question, a last one from Sharada Narendran. What is your personal view on this? Nowadays, there is a lot of Tamil dialogues and references in today's English plays, even though it is acceptable these days. What is your personal view?
It's a matter of how needed it is. Like we did a play like Water. There are a couple of Tamil expressions which we can use. It's an English play, but nothing like things like ama, seriapo, and all those kinds of ejaculations and exclamations we can use. There are, but if you're going to overdo it, anything overdone is not good. It's an English play. Therefore, to get the feel of it, if you have to use something in Tamil which makes the idea better, which communicates the scene or the dialogue better, I am all for using it, and I've used it. I've used it.
Thank you. That winds up the question and answer session.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure participating in this webinar with Intact. I am so happy to be with you. I hope it was not a waste of your time, and I hope you'll come back to me with whatever you want in theatre at any given time. Thank you.
Tara?
PC, thanks for this extremely enjoyable evening on theatre in Madras. I think you covered all aspects of the theatre, and I still remember an editor from Oxford University Press who once said, probably in the 70s, she said, yours was the best Oxford accent she had ever heard. So, and I mean it as a compliment. She said that there are very few people who can, on stage and, sort of your voice, the talk, the acting, etc., put it all together. And she was full of praise for you. So, I think many of us, you call yourself an oldie. I think there are many of us of your generation here, and we all remember, the excitement with which a Madras player's play was greeted in the 60s and 70s. And people like you, Amu Matthew, Vishalam Ekambaram, Yamuna Prabhu, Girish Karnad, I think these were all, doyens of theatre, and Lakshmi, of course. And I think it was golden days for Chennai, or Madras, as Mr. Muthaiya would have wanted us to call it.
Yes.
I hope your dream of, a theatre especially for a space specially for theatre comes true, and I hope Intact will be part of that whole venture. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
So much. And thank you, Sushi, for that excellent question and answer session. It was great, and I hope we can have more of these. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tara. So very considerate and kind of you. It's been a pleasure, unalloyed pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, PC.
Sorry?
Thank you so much, PC.
Thank you, Sujata. I hope it was okay and I didn't exceed your parameters.
Absolutely not. We
Thank
don't
you.
have a time limit on this.
The
No, but still, you can't just keep on and on at it. There's a certain
the
limit.
chat box will show you how interesting everybody has found it.
Thank you. That was nice to know.
Mhm.
Thank you. Can I sign off now?
Yes.
Thank you, Sujata. Take care. All of you stay safe.
Thanks, Ram.
Stay happy. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Sooner than later. Thank you, Sushi. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Ram. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Good.